Welcome to this Stockbox interview. We're back with Alan Green on the Research Talks podcast. So, Alan, it's nearly Christmas. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm fine. I'm just watching this Brexit debacle play out, Mark, and it could be very interesting. Will life end as we know it? But I suspect not. I think, as we were saying before we came on air, I think there's going to be a giant fudge, and flights will continue as normal. There'll be some food tariffs. Things will cost a bit more, but life will go on.
Yeah, I'm sure life will go on. Yeah. I mean, it would be terrible, wouldn't it, if we have the whole COVID thing this year and then Britain just ceased trade with the world. I mean, it can't get any better, can it, really?
No, that would just cap the year off nicely, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly, it would, wouldn't it?
It would just be the perfect end to a really rubbish year. Yeah. I was going to say something stronger then, but
no, I thought you might. You can save that for the Market Musings podcast. Okay. So today, the two stocks that you're going to be talking to us about are Arkle Resources, that's Irish gold, and Nostra, Terra, oil and gas. And of course, oil this year has seen some massive fall-offs, but there's probably some good value to be had. So which one would you want to start with, Alan?
Let's start with Nostra Terra. I think it's an interesting oil play. This, if for no other reason, for the fact that it's currently got a market cap of just £2.5 million sterling. So there's no upside factored into it at all. So, Nostra Terra oil and gas, Epic code NTOG. Shares have traded as high as 1.2p on the year and as low as 0.2p. And we're currently trading at 0.45p as I look at my screen. Now, the company, the board of the company are as follows. Dr. Stephen Staley is the chairman, non-exec chairman, 35 years experience and management and technical expertise in Europe, Asia and Africa, formerly with Conoco and BP. Also a board member with 88 Energy and Predator Oil and Gas, previously with Fastnet Oil and Gas, Independent Resources, and of course Cove Energy, which had that fantastic run a few years ago. The CEO, also well known, Matt Lofgren. Sounds like a Norwegian pop singer, but there we go. Matt Lofgren, long-standing CEO, formerly with Robson Energy, also CEO of Elephant Oil in Africa, and Matt's well regarded throughout the industry. John Stafford is also the non-exec director and geologist with the company, 35 years experience, formerly at Gulf Keystone Petroleum, and also before that with at ECL and Schlumberger. So a board that have an awful lot of experience in the oil industry. So Nostra Terra are they're an oil and gas exploration company, and the territory they work in is in the south of the USA, Texas, East Texas, and New Mexico. There are three key oil fields they're engaged in. Firstly, in the Permian Basin, where they have a 50 to 100% working interest in an area that's some 240 miles by 300 miles. And this area, the Permian Basin, is the world's second largest field of recoverable resource. And it's a producing field, the recoverable resource is estimated to be at least 75 million barrels of oil. Nostra Terra developed this prospect, and they developed it very rapidly indeed. From permit to production took less than 4 months. But what's interesting about the Permian Basin is that it's also had some or received some decent press coverage. The most recently from Hart Energy in Houston, which published an article entitled "Small Play, Big Wells: Permian Basin, the Horizontal Eastern Shelf," and the article gives a very positive write-up about the potential within the basin, and of course, when you've got third-party verification from an oil publication like that, it's always very encouraging. Secondly, in Wood County, Texas, Nostra Terra have a 100% working interest, and they're the operator of the Pine Mills oil field, which is a 2,500 acre producing oil field. And there's currently a farm out agreement in place there, which I'll go into more in a second. And most recently, in September, in Atascosa County, Texas, Nostra Terra bought or purchased a 100% working interest from existing capital in the Caballos Creek project, which is producing about 30 barrels of oil per day. So these aren't big numbers. So then looking at the recent news flow, I mean, we've seen the share price start to nudge up slightly in the past few weeks, and it's set two higher lows this month already. So we're starting to see progress as of course the oil price starts to recover, because regardless of the outcomes for renewable energy and everything else, oil is still going to be very much a stable part of the global economy for the next 30 to 40 years. So it's important to bear that in mind. In October, we had half-year numbers. The group announced revenues of $417,000, down from just under $1 million for the previous half-year period. Average production fell to 67 barrels of oil per day from 98 barrels of oil per day previously, and of course that's due to COVID and the well-documented falls basically to zero in the oil price that took place at the peak of the COVID crisis. Also, operational updates from all the fields during October. The Caballos field, the newly acquired Caballos field, the geological team working there had identified multiple new potentially production formations in the field, and basically the additional reserves that have been identified there increase the original reserves quoted in the acquisition announcement. So that's obviously encouraging. Pine Mills, I mentioned there was a farm out agreement, and there's an agreement there with Cypress Minerals, who provided drilling rig, and drilling is taking place on a new territory there for a 25% working interest and an option to increase to 37.5%. And then at the core asset, which is the Permian Basin, the group signed a farming agreement for an option to acquire a 75% working interest into an existing oil asset in that area. This marks the fourth acquisition for Nostra Terra in this area in the past 9 years. The third acquisition initially produced 3.5 barrels of oil per day, and then Nostra drilled the twin wells in the Permian Basin, and the asset suddenly accelerated production and reached payback in just under 1 year. So it's a highly fertile and productive area for oil exploration, as has already been verified through the third-party publication. In November, the team announced that the Pine Mills Cypress farm out well had reached the planned total depth of 6,000 feet, and wireline logging in the well had been concluded, and also the drilling had validated and confirmed the 3D seismic survey that had taken place previously, and the well was cased and cemented, ready for production. So as we speak now, it looks as though Nostra Terra are gearing up for for 2021, and which should see production increase exponentially, possibly return to 2019 levels, but obviously with a proportionate increase in the oil price as it is expected in 2021, we should see this company start to deliver some good value for shareholders. As I say, really, at $2.5 million market cap, all Nostra Terra is valued at is just the more or less the money that it paid for the licenses and the operating equipment that it has access to, and B, owns outright.
Mm-hmm. And are they profitable now then?
They're not profitable. No, the company the company raised £500,000 with institutional and professional investors in September as well. So the although half year revenues came in, that there was a production loss at that juncture, but they're expected to return to profitability next year, and obviously, at that point, I think we'll see a proportionate increase in the share price and the valuation of the company.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that were they how does it work with profitability with oil? Is it sort of like go on the price of the barrel of oil, and can certain wells be profitable at different price of oil levels?
Yeah, I mean these oil wells have very low operating costs in comparison to some of the bigger operators. So and also, given the infrastructure in the region, it's very easy to A, to get the oil out of the ground, and B, to get the oil to refinery and then get it into the market. So from that point of view, onshore drilling makes makes an awful lot of sense. But certainly the profitability, or the potential for long-term profitability compared to offshore drilling is far greater. So it's I think Nostra Terra do offer an opportunity here, for a speculative investor looking at a small oil play to if there's a return to profitability and an proportionate increase in production back to 2019 levels, then looking at where the share price was a year ago, we were at the peak of 1.2p, and further back than that, of course, the shares were 2017, 2018 trading at 4 to 5p. So yeah, there's certainly 2020 has been a flatline year for a lot of resource and energy companies for the reasons we've outlined. But production starts to improve. Then there's with its low cost base, Nostra Terra has an opportunity to return to profit very quickly, and to then start to deliver some decent profits going forward.
Yeah, and I think what a great time to be getting into the oil sector. If not now, when? Considering the sort of year it's had, what's it down? What, 25%, wasn't it? It's still down 25% or so on the year. Yeah, it's fallen quite a lot, and as you say, it's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. And Nostra Terra, what, at 2 million market cap? Yeah, I mean, it's a good entry point.
It's a very good entry point, and I mean, just to go back to the potential profitability for the group in 2019, on the half year, it delivered a profit of $106,000 on turnover of 947. In the half year period for this year, it delivered a loss of $115,000, and that's on revenue of $417,000. So it won't take that much to tip the balance. And as I say, Nostra Terra has a very low cost base. It's got a good infrastructure. It's got good farming agreements, and so I think it won't take a great deal if production increases, and if there's a blip in the oil price for any reason at all, then that could change things very quickly indeed for this little company.
Okay, excellent. Okay, well, thank you, Alan. So on to Irish Gold now.
Irish Gold, yes. So we spoke about Arkle Resources. I think it was about 6 weeks, possibly 2 months ago. But this, of course, is the former Connemara Mining, which was rebranded in March 2020. Arkle Resources shares are traded as high as 1.6p on the year and as low as 0.4p. Currently just over 1.1p. But from a chartist standpoint, I think the chartist will very much like the chart for the past few months. We've seen a series of higher lows, and the shares have pushed higher and then dipped down to those higher lows and then pushed higher again, which is really reflective of the news flow from the company. So it's Arkle are a gold and zinc company. Of course, John Teeling is the chairman, and has been he's a mercurial character within the mining and resources industry. 40 years experience, Pan-Andean mines, Minco, African gold, Persian gold, West African diamonds, Kenmare resources, to name but a few. And of course, we've got Jim Finn, who's the CFO, also formerly Pan-Andean gold, African gold, and these guys know their mining inside out. And of course, John Teeling being so long established, knows exactly how to develop small assets and take them forward. Certainly, the jewel in the crown, although that could be eclipsed, if the news on the gold exploration continues to develop. The jewel in the crown is the zinc prospect in Limerick, which is the Stone Park prospect, discovered in 2007. Now, this is 23.4% owned by Arkle and 76.5% owned by Group 11, which are a TSX listed company. There is a maiden inferred resource of just over 5 million tons of lead and zinc, with a grading of 11.5%. But what is of particular note is that the Stone Park asset is adjacent to the Palace Green zinc mine, which is owned by Glencore, and that's 45 million tons of zinc. So what has been notable, and I think what's helped to drive the Arkle share price higher over the year, is that Glencore has steadily increased its shareholding in Group 11, and that now stands at 26%. So I think that tells its own story. Clearly, if you've got an asset that's being developed that's adjacent to one you already have, it's almost a plug and play solution. So there are other zinc and lead and zinc assets in Cavan and Meath, the Old Castle assets, which is 75% owned by Tech Island and 25% owned by Arkle. This is southwest of the Terra lead and zinc mine, which is owned by Boliden, a Swedish company, employs some 600 people in the region. There's the Leash asset of Derry Kern, which is a series of licenses in the Rathdowney Trend east of Gilmoy, and also Ladywell, which is West Cork. There are two licenses south of Clonakilty, which is again base metals, lead and silver. So I'm going to bring the news flow on the zinc asset up to date before I look at the gold assets. But there was an announcement yesterday from Group 11, which, aside from the Stone Park asset, is also drilling at Carrick Kittle, which is adjacent to Stone Park and Palace Green, and the drilling undertaken by Group 11 intersected lead, zinc, silver, and copper, and it was a very encouraging drilling result from there. And of course, it just really serves to underscore the value of the assets being adjacent to Palace Green and Stone Park. So it looks as though Group 11, if they're not completely snapped up by Glencore altogether, I'll certainly have a very bright 2021 in prospect. And of course, for Arkle, with a market cap of just 3.3 million, that's going to reflect very positively on their 23.4% stake in the Stone Park project. So that brings the zinc and lead developments up to date, and of course, I think really what happens with Group 11 is going to be mirrored in the Arkle share price performance going forward. So we move now on to gold. There are a number of gold assets owned and operated by Arkle. Firstly, the Mine River, which is in Wicklow in County Wexford in Ireland. There are 8 licenses, some 340 kilometres squared, and of course, there's a lot of anecdotal information out on the internet about the Wicklow Gold Rush and the Avoca Avoca, the meeting of the waters, and this is an area that historically has been mined for hundreds of years. Still lots of dormant mines dotted around the area, but certainly there was a geological survey a few years ago, an island called the Terra survey, which basically concluded that with new mining techniques and new means of gathering data, there was a lot more gold in the streams in the Wexford area than had been previously understood. So, of course, it's attracted a whole raft of miners, and the Mine River asset is one such. So at the Mine River asset, the Arkle have undertaken drilling at Tom Breen, where they've intersected some good gold grades, and indeed we had an update from Arkle early this week. Mine River. A visible gold sample at Mine River was uprated after retesting to 7.5 grams per ton from 6.3 grams per ton previously, and also at the end of November, the Arkle reported that the further visible mineralization discovered during trenching, which was some 750 meters from the Tom Breen strike drill hole. So again, there's good progress here, and I think we're going to see some more developments early in 2021 at Mine River. Mm-hmm. Finally, we have the Inishowen gold project, which is northern Donegal, and Arkle made history being the first company to drill in that area at the Mina prospect. And there's a fault that runs from Mina to Glentoga, which is considered prospective for gold, and there were some developments in September where the group undertook Inishowen gold sampling, and a new trend was discovered in the area. The group, or Arkle, were currently were at that point identifying additional drill targets, and indeed on December the 10th, the group said that the trenching had started at Inishowen to further identify and confirm these targets for drilling in the new year. So again, everything to play for, and I said at the start that, of course, the progress in the Arkle share price reflected the developments that were taking place on the ground. So there are, some really solid drivers for the group next year. Of course, we've got the developments in Mine River and at Inishowen, and anything happens at the Stone Park assets, or if Glencore decide to increase their holding in Arkle Resources, in Group 11 rather, the TSX company, we're going to see further progress in the Arkle share price.
I think it's great that the gold is very nice, but I think the zinc with Arkle's where it's at really, and that Stone Park project certainly looks very interesting, particularly with, as you say, the Palace Green just next door, which is Glencore. I mean, that's everyone knows Glencore. If in mining, it's one of the big ones, isn't it? So to have them as neighbours, and also taking a stake in Group 11, I mean, yeah, I think that speaks very strongly to how they feel, and gives confidence to the project in the area in general. So yeah, hopefully 2021 is a telling year for Arkle.
I think it will be, but also, yeah, just to take a point there on Glencore, Mark, when Glencore get involved in anything that involves a small company, you'll normally see an explosion in the share price, and this happened last year with Glencore signed a takeoff agreement with a company called MacArthur Minerals in Australia, and the share price literally jumped, I think, about 300 to 400% on that day, and it was announced at 2:00 in the afternoon. Now, Cadence Minerals, the AIM-listed company that we've spoken about beforehand, also has a stake in MacArthur, and its share price too jumped, I think, from about 15p to 40p in the space of about 10 minutes in the afternoon. Okay. So yeah, it's called the Glencore effect. So
right.
I think with Arkle, I mean, bear in mind, Cadence has a much bigger market cap, and of course MacArthur Minerals likewise. So Arkle with a 3.3 million market cap, anything happens with the with Stonepark project, I think you will see you'll see a jump in the share price.
Good. Okay. Well, let's see if that comes to fruition sometime in the future. But great. Okay, so we've spoken there about Arkle Resources and Nostra, Terra Oil and Gas. So Alan, thank you very much again for your time.
Thank you, Mark. Good to be here.
Thank you for listening to this Stockbox interview. For more information, interviews and videos, visit our website at stockboxmedia.com or give us a follow on Twitter by searching @StockboxMedia.